Welcome to another live video here. Got another video. The House expected to vote on GOP spending bill to avoid government shutdown. Now, at some point, the House is trying to, work. Each party's Democrat, Republican is trying to work to avoid a government shutdown. So, as you guys come here, please subscribe. Please share this video, man, because we're gonna have to dive into this video, man. This is the main reason why Al Green was saying he was in disagreement, and why I was saying on my last video that Al Green and Trump clashed. Now, Al Green believed in civil rights need to be looked at. Immigration need to be looked at. Our healthcare need to be looked at. And enough is enough. I told you guys, no matter which party gets in this presidency, but the die is always set against American people. When they can't do nothing for the American people. So I'm looking to see what they up to. When we look at Elon Musk and we look at Donald Trump, Trump wants to recorporate America. They want to resegregate, American blacks. Why nothing is explained in defunding the police department? There's a lot of things that's at stake, and what's on the bill that they really don't want to pass the bill. Because the truth of the matter is they want a government shutdown. Why you get Democrats spend over $350 billion for Ukraine? Why is it many American people suffering? Just look at the unemployment rate. Just look at the jobs right now. Jobs being cut. Where are the money going? This is what we gotta ask. We gotta ask ourselves, where are the money being spent? If they cutting down your health care, schools. We ask ourselves, what in the world going on? You see, it's like 100% of us is dissatisfied. No one is satisfied. So no matter what party, who we cast our votes for, Republicans or Democrats, nothing you see been solved. So we definitely got to roll into the video. I thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to get started in this video. Something got to be solved, my brothers and sisters.
The other side of the aisle have no answer to that besides, magic tax cuts. You could literally confiscate the wealth of the wealthiest 1% of America and not dent what we've got in terms of $36 trillion in debt, when you would kill jobs and destroy the economy in the process. But that's the only answer my colleagues have to $7 trillion in spending. The fact of the matter is this CR is responsible. It's fiscally appropriate. It'll leave the lights on so that the president and Doge and Elon and Russ voted OMB could do their job. And I hope that my colleagues on this side of the aisle will support the rule. I yield back.
Gentlelady reserves.
Reserve.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
What if you could do all your SEO in one tab? Meet SEMrush, a tool to find winning keywords, create top-ranking content, track your...
Moskowitz. Gentleman from Florida is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, that's exactly right. It's CR Day on Capitol Hill, and what is going on with Republicans? I mean, President Trump puts out a tweet and says, please, and all of a sudden, just flip-flops. But you know what? Let me do some mean tweets about how you feel about CRs when you're in the minority only. And the first one actually is from the gentleman from Texas. And it says, it's Groundhog Day in the House chamber, all the time, every day. Yet again, spending money we don't have. Apparently, only when he's in the minority. Another one from a colleague, comparing continuing resolutions to attending a P. Diddy party. In any given year, another colleague says, if Congress raises the debt ceiling, passes a CR, and rams through an omnibus bill, no member of Congress...
Now, fam, they think this is a joke that they can play on the American people. They think that the American people is still, fast and asleep, man. See, that's why I always say, fam, our life is being handed to these non-rulers that ain't did nothing. At some point, just go on and shut this thing down. Just go on and shut it down, because they have not found any solution. Just go on and shut it down, because we tired. We rather see a shutdown, because what's on this bill is going to continue to have this country to move. They got to bring back in the jobs to say capitalism. And why are trillions of dollars spent and not spent on the American people? Why are we spending trillions of dollars into foreign countries? Come on, something just ain't right.
Should receive a paycheck. That's awkward for you guys. How many of you are going to give back your paycheck? Another colleague, I've never voted for a CR. You sent me to Congress to cut wasteful spending, and I'm a woman of my word. You can guess who that is. And this is my favorite. What does a CR stand for? It stands for capitulating Republicans, caving Republicans, said by a Republican. And you know what? I'm going to miss the Never CR group. I mean, they were great, but they're breaking up. And it was great to see them live while they were together. They had lots of fans. I'm going to miss them. I mean, they were mostly a boy band, okay? Some of them are going solo. Appears it's only Thomas Massey. But you know what? Something tells me there'll be a reunion, but only when they're in the minority. And to quote Representative Massey, talking about Republicans, I guess deficits only matter when we're in the minority. So listen, go home to your families, turn in your voting cards, give Trump the gavel, because that is what has happened to your entire party. You don't need to be here. He tells you to do something, you jump. And so what's going on in the world? Another representative wrote what's going on in the world in the last 30 days. Well, let's see. Egg prices are up. Goods are up. Stock market is down. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back to gentleman from Massachusetts. Reserve. Reserve.
Mr. Speaker.
Members are admonished for the second time and reminded to address their remarks to the chair. Thank you.
And thank you,
Gentlelady
Mr.
from
Speaker.
Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that reminder. I appreciate that. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to yield 2 minutes again from to my colleague from the Rules Committee from Texas.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 2 minutes.
Well, I appreciate the sudden religion my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have found on spending restraint and the need to cut spending. I look forward to all the proposals that my colleagues will put forward on reducing significant amounts of spending and waste, fraud, and abuse. and I'll look for that press conference they'll no doubt have sometime this week. I would also note that when we talk about continuing resolutions, what my colleague just failed to mention was the fact that literally every single Democrat voted for the CR that we just had in December. Like literally every single Democrat except for one who I think maybe took a present vote. The fact of the matter is, it has nothing to do with that. The fact of the matter is, for those of us who do not like CRs as a general principle, the fact is because Democrats literally wouldn't pass an appropriations bill out of the Senate, we're left doing the cleanup work of trying to figure out how to move forward while we have an administration that isn't at war with its own people. When the previous administration was blatantly disregarding the well-being of the American people, to have wide open borders, letting fentanyl and letting all manners of evil come into our country, leading to the death and destruction of the people that I represent, people like Jocelyn Nungare, who lost her life to the hands of Tren de Aragua, because Joe Biden decided it was more important to let millions of people into this country in violation of our laws, endangering the people. That's why our bill has additional funding for ICE, to make sure that we've got the beds to undo the damage that the Biden regime has carried out on the American people. Those are the actual facts. The fact of the matter is, no, you don't want to have a CR to continue the funding under Joe Biden, because Joe Biden was at war with the American people. Now we have a president and administration that is trying to do the job that they sent him there to do. Secure the border of the United States.
The truth of the matter is, everybody see that neither one of these presidents ain't doing nothing for the American people. Neither one of these presidents is for the heart of the American people, man. You know, I guess we had already seen, you know what I mean, that neither of these parties have done nothing for the American people, man. They don't have the hearts today for the American people. You know, the House is expected to vote now on GOP spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. Now, they think this is a joke, playing with a lot of American people's life, you know, putting us in a bad situation. You know, this is why the nation, you know what I mean, crash. Because when we see Republicans and Democrats can't even reach an agreement, they can't even come to a neutral agreement. It's just sad to see what they put the American people in. It's sad. Let's go on and shut the damn thing down. Just do us a favor and shut it down.
Hold back spending. Eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. Get this economy going again. Get the regulations out of the way of the American people and do the job they want us to do. With that, I yield back.
Gentlelady reserve. The chairs of each respective side are advised that the gentlelady from Minnesota has 13 minutes remaining, and the gentleman from Massachusetts has 20 and a half minutes remaining. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, forget about it. I'm not going to respond. I just want to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished ranking member of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Mr. Meeks.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump's policies are collapsing our economy. Unemployment is rising. The NASDAQ had its worst days since the COVID crash. Millions of dollars in retirement savings have been wiped out in just weeks. And the reason is clear. The Trump administration's reckless tariffs on our allies. To impose these tariffs, Trump declared a made-up national emergency under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. But the law has a safeguard. Any member can force a vote to terminate the emergency. But what happened? Speaker Johnson doesn't want to vote. Why? Because it would force Republicans to go on the record about Trump's tariffs. So instead, Speaker Johnson has rewritten the law in real time. And here's what the rule says, and I quote, each day for the remainder of the first session of the 119th Congress shall not constitute a calendar day. What? If you don't think that makes any sense, neither do I. House Republicans are declaring that the days are no longer days and that time has literally stopped. The Speaker is petrified that members of this House will actually have to take a vote on lowering costs on the American people. This is what the American people elected us to do. But now, because it's Donald Trump's tariffs and Republicans would have to take a tough vote, Speaker Johnson is stopping us from voting. If Congress can't act to lower prices, protect retirement savings, and hold the president accountable, what are we even here? What are we doing here? A yes vote on this rule is a vote for Trump's tariffs. A yes vote on this vote, is a vote to keep prices high for American families. A yes vote is a vote.
See, just like I said, Trump is a terrorist. When y'all vote for him, this is the results we get, man. When they can't agree on the spending bill, this is what we get, y'all. We get the jobs cut, taxes, groceries is going up, inflation's high, and when you look at both parties pointing a finger at each other. So it's a back and forth game, they playing. And, like he said, why waste time? Why are we here? Why waste time and play? Why play on the heart of American people, man? Sad.
To block Congress from doing its job to lower costs. If you actually care about lowering costs, you should vote no on this rule. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. Gentlelady from Wisconsin is recognized. Minnesota.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You were close. But, Mr. Speaker, I just want to point out, Democrats love to claim foul when Republicans for shutting off national emergencies, but they're cherry picking the facts. Let's take a look back at when they were in charge in the 117th Congress. They never allowed a vote on terminating the COVID national emergency. Mr. Gosar introduced two separate national emergency disapproval resolutions, and Democrats, who were in control at the time, not only shut off consideration of those resolutions without a single vote, they shut them off for the remaining 18 months of the Congress. Even 2 years after the COVID emergency was declared, Democrats still silenced the voices of Republicans who wanted to take a vote. What's that saying again? Rules for thee, but not for me. I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentlelady just conceded that this rule would prevent the House from voting on Trump's tariffs, thereby resulting in the biggest tax increase on middle-class families that we've ever seen. I now yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New Mexico, Ms. Stansbury.
The gentlelady from New Mexico is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes when I'm standing in this chamber, I literally cannot believe my ears. And I have to say that today is one of those days, because as we stand here on the floor today, I am hearing members of the other side of the aisle who said they would never vote for a continuing resolution, that they would never vote to raise the debt, that they would never vote for a bill that extends the debt ceiling, say that we have to pass this bill. And so I literally cannot believe my...
Now, I want to say to a lot of American people, our vote is powerful and strong when we use it to help these people get in office, man. And like I always been saying, when you put these people in office and they don't do the right thing, this is where we at. We had a spending bill that they trying to vote on, and each party can't even come to a neutral agreement. And you got Congress, Congress, it got to go through them in order to pass. But they really, the truth of the matter is they really don't want to pass this bill, man. And you're going to see that they're acting like they want to do something at the last minute. If you notice, they do something at the last minute. Like they doing something for the American people. They'll put the American people into a mess, right? And then you see this right after the deadline, they come with a miraculous decision. You see, we done passed a bill to save the economy, to keep the economy running. See, I told y'all, if y'all listen to my last videos, that Congress, they play this kind of game because they know they got to save capitalism. They know that they got to bring in the jobs for the American people. They know that they got to have these jobs, and they got to, have these minimum wages to save the capitalism, man. So why take the American people through all this mess, man? To all these problems they take these American people. This why would you play with American people, man? Okay, we're gonna cut down jobs. We're gonna play, with the shutdown. It's a whole American up. It's to hold us up, man. I tell y'all, man. It's to hold, us up, man. Cause they know Congress got to sign. They got to pass on it to save capitalism, and they got to bring the American people back into work. We nothing but slave here. They got to reset, man. All this stuff is a reset, y'all. It's just a reset. It's just to continue to play with American people. Don't think for a second when they bring the jobs back. Don't think, they bringing in new jobs. No. They gotta hit the reset button, man. Everything got to just get reset, man. Come on, man. I can see straight through this, man. You know what I mean? We ain't got time for this game playing, man. They've been playing a game too long, man.
My ears today because the GOP today is here with a great American bait and switch. So let me explain to you what exactly is going on. Donald Trump spent the weekend calling our colleagues across the aisle, asking them to keep the government open until the end of the fiscal year so that they can get on with their real agenda. And you all know what the real agenda is. The real agenda is that they're dismantling the federal government. They're firing tens of thousands of federal workers, teachers, firefighters, veterans, military, members of our community who are in crisis right now.
And she ain't lying. She's saying they firing militaries, they firing firefighters, they firing every working because they got to hit this reset. But I'm telling you, man, Trump wants to reincorporate America. It's like they didn't want two governments. They didn't want two presidents. They wanted one for all. So yes, all this is a reset, man. Because Trump want to reset, you know what I mean? Reset this, capitalism, man. It's agenda, man. It's agenda, man. All this is agenda. It's a croissant, man. All this is a propaganda. I'm telling y'all, man. People can read through this, fam. People can read through the lines.
Right now, and they are illegally impounding funds. And meanwhile, my Republican colleagues who said they would never vote for anything like this are saying that they are going to vote for it because On the side, Donald Trump is winking at them, and his people are telling them, don't worry, if you pass this bill, we're going to continue to do all of that illegal activity. And then we can get on to the real work, which is dismantling our basic programs that support our communities. They want to take away your Medicaid. This weekend, Elon Musk said he wants to take away your Social Security. They want to dismantle.
She's speaking facts. Trump and Eli want to dismantle American healthcare. This is what Al Green was saying. Once you understand, you don't have no civil rights. Look what Trump is doing. The deportation of immigrants and, your health care. Look at what they doing, man. Look at what kind of agenda they doing, man. I always say neither parties is for the American people, man. I always say, man. Neither of these parties, Republican, Democrat, is for the need of the American people, man. Both of these parties is very crafty. You should be able to see through this, fam. You should be able to see through this.
Housing programs. They want to dismantle food assistance programs. They are literally bait and switching the American people and abdicating their fundamental responsibility as representatives of the people, because the people have spoken, my friends, and there are no number of town halls that you can run away from to know that your people in your communities do not support your bait and switch. So I say to my GOP colleagues, do your jobs.
The gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. I want to commend the previous speaker on setting an excellent example on addressing remarks to the chair. Thank you very much. Add to that list now, members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president. The gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do want to remind everyone that the people have spoken. They spoke in November. The Republicans are the majority in the House. The Republicans are the majority in the Senate, and they elected President Trump. The people have spoken. And we are talking about, I'd like to bring it back to what we're actually talking about today, and that's the rule in front of us, and we're discussing the rule and the continuing resolution. And as my colleague from Texas mentioned, there was not a single no vote from Democrats for the continuing resolution in December. And they're standing here today willing to shut down the government, not because of anything substantive in the bill, but because they believe that as long as they are acting against the Trump administration, against the elected president and Republicans' agenda, then they must be doing the right thing. Motivation by blind hatred. That is the Democrat Party that we have before us today. And with that, I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this rule contains tariffs, and I don't understand why the gentlelady supports these tariffs. She represents a district with over 50,000 farmers, the second most of any member of Congress. And during the last trade war started by Trump, American farmers lost $27 billion in agricultural exports. It's farmers in the gentlelady's district who are being harmed by these tariffs. So I don't understand why she supports them. I now yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Frost.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's interesting because anytime my colleagues want to defend horrible moves by the Trump administration, whether trying to cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, they keep saying, the people have spoken, without realizing that the people are speaking. That's why they continue to cancel their town halls, because they don't want to hear what the people are saying right now. Costs are at an all-time high. I came down here to tell people that if you're struggling to afford food, you can't pay your rent, the medical bills are stacking up, this bill will make your life worse. Why? To give tax cuts to billionaires and big corporations. This bill...
You see, a bill that if it passed, it's going to help rich folks. It's not going to help the middle class people. It's nothing. It's nothing for the middle class people. I want y'all to understand that. You get people that's content creators, man. That's saying what Trump is going to do, and you ain't hear what Trump was going to do on the news. You ain't watch no CNN and see what Trump was going to do with the stimulus. If they want to cut down Medicare and look what they doing with the immigration and civil rights. You ought to, you know what I mean, say that what kind of gender Trump and Eli, up to. This thing about to go all left field.
Bill sets up major cuts to Medicaid, which 60,000 children in my district rely on for health care. Cuts to Medicare, steals from veterans, ripping away benefits, steals from working people and families, gives even more unchecked power to President Elon Musk and Doge. And recently Musk said that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. So every vote in favor of this bill endorses those words. You vote for this? Go to your constituents and be loud and proud. Tell them that the program that they've paid into and worked on their entire life so they can retire with dignity is a Ponzi scheme. Oh wait, Republicans have been told by their leadership to stop doing town halls. Why? Because the people are pissed off. They're scared. Many have been sold this BS lie that if we just give all the power to billionaires like Elon Musk, we'll all be okay. But I got breaking news for you. The billionaires have always had immense power in this country, and it hasn't worked out for us. I'm opposing today's rule so we can stop the House from voting on the Republican Party spending bill that works to cut Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, veterans benefits, and school lunches, all in favor of the ultra-rich. I know what it's like to not be able to pay for housing, to go into debt to survive. We're not in this because people have lived beyond their means, but because we've been.
And that's why America is suffering the way she's suffering. That's why these pledges are visiting America, because God is going to move her out. God is coming to strip everything they have. That's why, nothing surprised me anymore. Because you gotta understand, he will continue his possessions. He will continue his concession. He will continue on holding the merchandise that he didn't spot it out from under the nose and eyes of the original owner, the black man. He is here to sweat innocent blood, meaning that in order for them to get off, there will be bloodshed, because he's not going to be willing to let this go. So it's going to have to take God to intervene, to come amongst his people. Because I have come to hear the voice of my people. I have come in the aid of the voice of my people.
Been denied the means to live. So vote no on this rule, and I yield back. Thank you.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. The gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is just another example of how talking points are written before they actually read the bill, because this is about a government shutdown, plain and simple. We have to have the rule to pass the CR so that we can avoid government shutdown. I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, this is a rule to protect tariffs. I yield 1.5 minutes to the gentlewoman from Illinois, Ms. Ramirez.
The gentlelady is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this is about the rule, so that we can get to this continuing resolution, or so-called continuing resolution. But let me tell you what continuing resolutions are. They give Congress time to negotiate budget bills in the interest of the American people. Let me be very clear. That is not what Republicans want to do here. They're proposing we skip budget negotiations and we give the Musk-Trump administration a slush fund. Their actions prove that they have more respect for their billionaire bosses than they do for the Constitution. They are more willing to hand over their power to Trump and Musk than they are to defend the power of the people, and they're more committed to enabling a bully than to stand up for their constituents. And that is what Trump and Musk are. They're bullies who use intimidation and retribution to get what they want. And Musk, or, Trump under Musk, as my colleague said, they want it all. They want to disregard the law. They want to dismantle the agencies that serve the American people, and they want to destroy the programs and the services that Americans rely on. Bottom line, Republicans are using a shutdown to bully us into giving Trump a blank check. No guardrails, folks.
You hate meetings. Your team hates meetings. Sometimes it feels like you're just having meetings just to talk about more meetings. Upgrade your broken workflow and get rid of meetings with motion.
Yes, if we are in chaos, it's your fault. You control the House, you control the Senate, and you have your guy in the White House. So let me be honest, I will not be bullied. The full year slush fund CR they call is the red line, and I call my colleagues to vote no on the rule and on the Republicans' slush fund CR. I yield back.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the House Appropriations Committee worked in good faith throughout the FY25 process, and it was the Democrats that weaponized this process, holding up negotiations on demands that were completely unrelated to funding. If my colleagues choose a Democrat shutdown simply because they hate Donald Trump and his administration, they are showing they have still learned nothing from the results of last year's elections. I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. Members are again reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we are opposed to the tariffs and the tax increase on American families. I yield 2 minutes to the gentlewoman from Pennsylvania, a distinguished member of the Rules Committee, Ms. Scanlon.
The gentlewoman from Pennsylvania is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, House Republicans are trying to avert a funding crisis of their own making by passing a partisan Republican spending bill they drafted behind closed doors. It cuts $13 billion from programs like low-income housing, agricultural inspections, and election security. This bill would allow President Trump and Elon Musk to supercharge their attacks on essential federal programs and workers, including Social Security and the FAA, with no input from Congress. I want to highlight how this bill impacts our nation's veterans, particularly in light of the administration's recent actions. Due to the success of the PACT Act, more veterans than ever before have enrolled in VA care, and we should celebrate that success. Instead, this bill reneges on a commitment of $23 billion in healthcare funding for veterans who were exposed to burn pits and Agent Orange. It also fails to guarantee essential programs within the Veterans Health Administration. Programs like homelessness assistance, mental health care, rural health initiatives, opioid and substance abuse treatment, oncology services, and caregiver support are left undefined and therefore subject to cuts or elimination by DOJ or Trump. This isn't an oversight. Our Republican colleagues are supporting this bill because it allows Musk to eliminate more programs without congressional approval. Look, in just 6 weeks, over 6,000 veterans have been fired from the VA and other federal programs. Veterans comprise 30% of our federal workforce. They're among the hardest working, most patriotic employees in our country. But Trump has allowed Elon Musk and Doge to fire thousands of them without cause. And more jobs are on the chopping block. 80,000 at the VA, tens of thousands at the IRS, 7,000 at Social Security. When Doge destroys federal programs, it's not just cutting essential services for American families, it's also firing veterans. Between deep VA cuts, eliminating funding for veterans' health care, and job cuts that disproportionately hit veterans, it appears that the Trump White House has declared war on veterans. Our veterans and their families deserve better than this. I urge my colleagues to reject this travesty of a bill and instead pass the clean CR offered by the ranking member on appropriations. I yield back.
The gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. The gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. The gentleman
No
from
speakers?
Massachusetts is recognized.
No speakers? Okay. Mr. Speaker, I yield 3 minutes to the gentlewoman from the District of Columbia, Ms. Holmes Norton.
The gentlelady from the District of Columbia is recognized for 3 minutes.
I thank my friend for yielding. I strongly oppose this rule and the full-year funding resolution. The CR is an act of fiscal sabotage against DC and is an abuse of power over a disenfranchised jurisdiction. The consequences be damned. For the last 20 years, DC has been able to operate under the local budget enacted by DC for the next fiscal year for the duration of every CR, including full-year CRs and the first 2 fiscal year 2025 CRs. The CR under consideration does not allow DC to do so. Indeed, the CR effectively repeals the fiscal year 2025 local budget enacted by DC, which DC has been operating under for the last 6 months, and restores the fiscal year 2024 local budget enacted by DC, which DC stopped operating under 6 months ago. This unprecedented budget substitution will result in an immediate cut of more than $1 billion from DC's $21 billion budget. This cut will likely force DC to immediately terminate programs and to lay off or furlough police officers, firefighters, other first responders, and teachers. This cut does not save the federal government any money because DC's local budget consists entirely of locally raised revenues such as taxes and fees. The CR also fails to exempt DC from a federal government shutdown in fiscal year 2026. Since the 2013.
I want y'all to hear what she's saying. If it's gonna cut police, you're gonna see crime like you've never seen it. Crime is gonna be up. You know, and it's gonna get crazy.
Federal budget shutdown, Congress has exempted DC from federal government shutdowns because Congress recognized that shutting down a city of more than 700,000 people was harmful to the operations of both DC and the federal government. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a memorandum from DC Mayor Miriam Bowser's office detailing the impact of this CR on DC. I urge members to vote no. I yield back.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from Massachusetts. Gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized. Reserved. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Still no speaker? Okay. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Goldman.
Gentleman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
I thank you very much to the ranking member for yielding. I rise today in strong opposition to the Republicans' partisan sham of a government funding bill, which is nothing more than a blank canvas for Donald Trump and Elon Musk to continue their smashing and looting of our federal government. There are too many things that are wrong with this bill to mention in just 2 minutes, including cuts to safety net programs for housing, food, veterans, law enforcement, as well as essential community projects for every district in the country. But what's really shocking is that Republicans rejected any and all input from Democrats, even though they need Democratic votes to pass this bill in the Senate. If you want to go it alone, then go it alone. But you can't blame anyone but yourselves when it fails. If the government shuts down with a Republican House, Republican Senate, and Republican President, it will be solely because the Republicans have moved forward with a terrible partisan take-it-or-leave-it bill. In November, the clear number one issue on voters' minds was the economy and the cost of living. But since he has taken over, President Trump has increased costs significantly and tanked the economy. But it gets even worse. The president has not only failed to keep his promise to help working Americans, but he has enlisted a corrupt, unelected billionaire to slash essential programs that hundreds of millions of Americans depend on. Elon Musk isn't cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. He doesn't even know what he's cutting. And unlike regular appropriations bills, this bill does not include the usual language to fund specific programs. And what that means is that Elon Musk has unfettered discretion to cut whatever he wants. You don't need to take my word for it. The House Freedom Caucus issued a press release supporting this bill because of that very reality. With this bill, Republicans are handing the power of the purse to Congress and not working with Democrats. We continue to stand ready to work together, but this bill does not do that. And I yield back.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady is recognized.
Reserve.
Gentlelady reserved. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Can I inquire on the time, Mr. Speaker?
Massachusetts has 5.5 minutes.
Okay, and the gentlelady has no speakers? So, okay, all right. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New Mexico, a distinguished member of the Rules Committee, Ms. Ledger Fernandez.
Gentlelady from New Mexico is recognized for 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, Americans across the country are angry about Elon Musk illegally firing employees and freezing federal funds. Rather than stand up to Musk, Republicans are giving him the power to shut down the government programs Musk doesn't like. Remember,
You guys got to remember, Elon Musk, he wants to segregate America. People, you got to remember what they want to do. They want to run a gender and bring in the microchip. You know, if you go to prison, your chances is you will be chipped. You know, you'll be chipped. So that means, you know, when you get out, they can follow you. They follow your movement. And see, that's the plan they want. See, it's this is a whole consent propaganda they want to do. See, denying citizens, you know, the right to vote, denying civil rights, denying immigration, denying health care. You know, we had inflation high, cost of groceries up.
just last night, Musk said he wants to eliminate the big programs like Social Security and Medicare. Musk also wants to fire thousands of VA employees. This bill cuts $22.8 billion for veterans care. It cuts housing. It cuts programs that protect our food supply so we can bring down the cost of eggs. This rule also endorses Trump's tariffs under the guise of a national emergency. Yesterday, Trump's tariffs caused the markets to plummet, taking Americans' retirement savings with them. That's the real national emergency. A vote for this rule is a vote for Trump's tariffs. Is that why Republicans are hiding from their constituents? Because they're backing unpopular tariffs that will cost the average family $2,000 a year? Or maybe they're hiding because this funding bill cuts $15 billion from community projects. We're losing first responder and water infrastructure projects in New Mexico. Republicans are also defunding the police in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, in Representative Bresnahan's district. And how about eliminating the water project in Lehigh County in Representative McKenzie's district? Just to name a few of the many projects that are being gutted in Republican and Democratic districts alike. This is not a clean CR. It's as dirty as it gets. I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserved. Gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I am prepared to close.
Gentlelady reserves. The gentlelady has 10 minutes left remaining, and the gentleman from Massachusetts has 3.5 minutes remaining. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to yield 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from California, the Speaker Emerita, Ms. Pelosi.
The Speaker Emeritus from California is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentleman for yielding and for his extraordinary leadership. Mr. Speaker, today Republicans will vote to pass a continuing resolution that hollows out our nation's commitment to the health, education, economic security of America's working families. Instead of working constructively in a bipartisan way to meet the needs of the American people, Republicans are trying to starve the domestic budget with a partisan bill, and I'm going to focus on veterans here, that cuts nearly $23 billion in veterans benefits, in addition to slashing even more money from health care and affordable housing. Indeed, the Republican CR is a betrayal of our nation, America's veterans, with devastating cuts to initiatives that care for our veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic substances. Our nation's sacred promise is just as the military says, on the battlefield we leave no soldier behind, and when they come home, we leave no veteran behind. With this bill, Republicans have broken that promise. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this betrayal of our veterans, and urge my colleagues, Republican colleagues, to join Democrats at the negotiating table to get us serious about the people's business. Vote no. I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. Gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Reserve.
Gentlelady from Minnesota reserves. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Is the gentlelady prepared to close, Mr. Speaker?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just,
yes.
we haven't heard a speaker in a long time. I just wasn't sure. Okay. All right, thank you.
Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, if you vote for this rule, you own the tariffs. Republicans snuck in a provision that blocks this House from voting on resolutions that could end the tariffs. They know these tariffs will cost families an extra $1,200 a year, and they're scared to vote for them. So instead of letting Congress do its job, they're shutting down the debate. They're hiding, and they're shielding themselves from any accountability. And do you know who's going to feel the pain, Mr. Speaker? It's working families and small businesses who are already struggling with high costs. It's farmers who are already the victim of retaliatory tariffs. Meanwhile, the stock market was in a free fall yesterday, and today it's going down again. Retirement accounts have taken a huge hit. Ontario is already hitting us with a 25% electricity surcharge, hurting families in Minnesota. In fact, I saw a breaking news story this morning that Trump's now escalating his trade war by doubling tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. So he and his enablers are pushing forward, full steam ahead, and into a possible recession with no regard for the chaos he's causing in this country. That's why House Democrats, led by Ranking Member Meeks, introduce resolutions to end Trump's devastating tariffs. According to the National Emergencies Act, these resolutions should be fast-tracked for a vote on the House floor. Republicans are using this rule to shut them down. And I'd love to hear them explain to their constituents why they're standing by while prices are skyrocketing. But Republicans are scared of their constituents too, hiding in their offices instead of holding town halls. So let me be perfectly clear. If your representative votes for this rule, they're voting to ratify the Trump tariffs. They're hoping you won't notice while they let our economy burn. That's not leadership, that's cowardice. And a vote against this CR is not a vote to shut down the government. We have offered a 1-month CR to fund the government while appropriators finish the budget process. Instead of giving up on it
Gentleman's time has expired.
To Trump and Musk. Vote no on this.
Gentleman yields back, and the gentlewoman from Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And now that we've finished listening to the Democrats' talking points, the same talking points that they use over and over and over to mislead the American people and demonize Republicans and demonize President Trump, I will actually focus on what we're talking about today and what is actually in front of the body. And that's the rule to deal with the CR and 2 other bills. And even with the additional funding for veterans and the FAA and families in this bill, it will cost less than last year. Not by gutting programs, as my Democrat colleagues have so wrongfully claimed, but by removing projects from the FY24 bill so that they are not double funding projects that have already received funds in in FY24. My Democrat colleagues must be confused because I certainly would not want to be accused of calling them liars. This bill upholds the responsibility of our veterans and ensures full funding for the health care services and benefits. It includes the largest pay raise for junior enlisted troops in over 40 years. It supports federal wildland firefighters. It increases funding for air traffic controller priorities. It does not cut grants for law enforcement. It does not cut spending on family assistance programs. In fact, it increases spending for WIC by more than $500 million. And it includes an additional $6 billion for the Toxic Exposure Fund to treat veterans who have experienced service-related exposure to toxic substances. This bill can increase spending on these critical needs by making sure that we are not double funding existing programs. It is really that simple. Avoiding government shutdowns ensures that the administration can continue to identify waste, fraud, and abuse. It also allows ICE to continue deporting criminal migrants. This clean CR will allow us to focus on one big, beautiful reconciliation bill. Furthermore, this rule provides a way for us to continue to remove waste, fraud, and abuse right now by extending the time to prosecute those who committed unemployment insurance fraud during the COVID CARES programming. I would ask my Democrat colleagues to spare us the speeches about President Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency trimming some of the bloated bureaucracy from our federal departments. They are about to vote against a continuing resolution in the hopes of shutting our government down and sending every single federal employee home without a paycheck. Maybe my Democrat colleagues just don't think DOGE is going far enough. The truth is that there are more than 25,000 federal employees in the state of Massachusetts whose paycheck will be put on an indefinite hold if the government shuts down. And that's what my Democrat colleagues are going to vote for. My Democrat colleagues keep complaining how unfair this CR is to the DC residents. But there are over 160,000 federal employees in the District of Columbia, which quite frankly is more than there should be. But you are going to make every one of their paychecks go away if you succeed in shutting the government down. I thank my colleagues, Mr. Carey and Mr. Cole and Mr. Smith, for introducing these thoughtful pieces of legislation, and I encourage every single one of my colleagues to vote for this nonpartisan continuing resolution to keep our government fully funded and hold fraudsters accountable. A no vote, and I'll make it very clear, a no vote on this rule is actually a no vote to shut down government. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support the rule and the underlying legislation and yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlewoman yields back. The question.
On the resolution.
Gentlewoman moves the previous question. The question is on. Ordering the previous question on the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for the yeas and nays, please.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring the vote for yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, the chair will reduce to 5 minutes the minimum time for any electronic vote on the question of adoption of a resolution if ordered. This is a 15-minute vote.
Just want to say, when you guys cast your votes or you don't cast your votes, the die is always set.
At U-Haul, we know every family moves at their own pace.
Hi, Mom.
It's starting to snow. That's why we have U-Box. We can store it or ship it.
Thanks, you've been lifesavers.
How and when you want it. Reserve today at uhaul.com.
No, there's a lot of people see straight through these people, y'all. They see straight through Trump and Elon, Musk, it's sad, what they had put the American people in, man. And, I saw on, CNN, there was another Trump assassination. And, I remember The Simpsons had a prediction, and we always hope for, our world leaders to do the right thing, man. But, on the Simpson prediction, they had what's going to happen to Trump. Yeah, there was a third attempt made on Trump. Trump I guess it happened yesterday, and Trump wasn't. He happened to be not in the office during this incident. But like I said, there's always something happening, and I won't be surprised. You know, it's getting, you know, like I said, it's getting funky. You know, and the people see straight through the Republican Party. They know not to vote on this bill because this bill ain't not going to help the American people. This bill is not for the American people. So the sad thing, you know, they see straight through Trump and Elon Musk. You know, all this, you know what I mean, at the end of the day is we're going through a whole reset. You know, why would they want to cut Medicaid? Why do they want to make things difficult? You know, why do they want to do these things at the last minute? You know, I'd rather see the government shut down because if you vote for the bill is not, you know what I mean, it's not for American people. So now, as we see here, you know what I mean, they're having some time to, you know, vote on this bill, whether they vote on it or not. You know, here's the thing. You know, I don't know if they want a government shutdown to force us, you know what I mean, to be without paying, you know, our bills, rent. A lot of people pay rent. A lot of people have bills to pay. You know, I mean, what would this do if the government will have to be forced to shut down? That's what we got to ask. Yeah, that's true. You know, Congress, man, they taking a vacation on this, man. You know, Man, I just want to say, man, what's in this bill for American people, man? What are they trying to do? What is Trump and Eli, Musk's next step, man? Where are their plans? Where are their motives? Are they here for the American people? Are they here to help out the American people? I mean, you get crazy YouTuber content creators will say, well, Trump and Eli Musk is on their way sending us a stimulus, and we haven't heard no talks. We can't. What's in that bill, man? And if the bill is gonna work for American people, then why is people is saying that, don't vote on it? Because evidently that the bill is not for middle class people. And it says take as much as they can get. Yeah, that's what they want to do. They want to take. They want a percentage. They want to cut. So they want to take a percentage, a cut from the American people, man. And then see, it's just, as you can see that you see they finna just go on and hit that reset button. Then you're gonna see, they gotta do anything to avoid the government shutdown. See, if you notice, they do things at the last minute to avoid a government shutdown. So they will pass something overnight to avoid government shutdown. Then they go right back. They have to go right back to the drawing boards. I guarantee they're gonna pass something for probably 30, 60 days, maybe 60 days to go right back to the drawing board. It says because it part immigrants. Yeah. Trump already sent the deportation on immigration. I was told this is why Al Green and Donald Trump clashed, because Al Green, he support justice, and I'm with him on what he support, and I support Al Green 100%, man, because he support justice. He was saying, well, they trying to do a lot of stuff like denying civil rights, immigration, healthcare. You got to think, man. When it comes to Trump and Eli Musk, man, what kind of agenda they running? See, this whole reset is for Trump to reincorporate America and for Elon Musk to resegregate American black people. And I won't be surprised if they got a part to pardon, that police officer, that was involved in George Floyd, death. Like I said, this is evil. This is wicked on America's part. And, America will never become great again till they follow this one basic principle. Yeah, that's what Al Green was saying, that Trump did not have a mandate to cut, Medicare. He did not have, yeah, you're right. He did not have no mandate to try to cut healthcare. Man, it's the sad thing they doing, man. They want to popularize They want to control a population. And I think if the government was to get shut down, I think it would lose a lot of money if it would ever get shut down. Capitalism can't, I just think capitalism can't work if it's shut down. In order for capitalism, in order for them to save capitalism, they have to get the economy to run, and they have to focus on, middle class people, because middle class people, it's going to be always middle class people working, minimum wage. They're going to eventually, bring the jobs back, acting like they doing American a favor. Because why would they cut down the jobs, cut down your health care, and cut these things down? All that is just to hit the reset button. So that's why they said don't vote on this spending bill. You know what I mean? Because that's, like I said, y'all. What had Al Green said. You know what I mean? He says, Trump didn't have no mandate to do any cutting, and so I won't be surprised. You know what I mean? This spending bill that we see, that I won't be surprised that you would see these things on the spending bill. So yeah. You know what I mean? They're having a real sharp time on voting on this bill, man. And I think, man, they don't really care if the government be shut down. At some point, I guess they don't even care, man. So, here we are. Excuse me for a second. Got these allergies. Yeah, man. Like I said, here we are, man. It's like, if it ain't one problem, there's always another problem, man. So every time Trump got in office, every time we steal the American vote, and every time we get them in the House, nothing come into favor for the American people, man. That's the same thing we see. I'm telling you, man, it's just a whole concern they put, man. This whole propaganda they put out. Where Al Green said Trump is not for the he's not for the American people. And once you realize and understand that he's not for the American people, then you will realize, we back into square one again. If you ask me, man, I just think that they're just going to need to shut this government down, because if they don't vote right on the spending bill, and they decided to force the government shutdown, man, and this got to be, it's got to go right back up, you know what I mean, and be brought right back up, man. To what they can, what they can decide on, what's the next step. But it's going to force a lot of the suffering American people. Yeah, they about to pardon all the criminals. They're going to pardon the police officer, man. That's the first thing Eli wanted to do. He wanted to depart all the police officers that was involved in the death of George Floyd, man. It's sick, man. This thing's sick, man. And this is why judgment have come to America. This is why, man, you know what I mean? They really want to I don't want to say this, but they wanted you know what I mean, JFK Trump, man. I'm just gonna say it like that, y'all. This is what they really want to do. This is why the incident occurred yesterday, man. Another, you know what I mean, another Trump assassination. You know, people when they realize that people are tired, when they realize that people had enough, then you're going to get such carnage. You're going to see such things going on, man. You know, it's sad, man. It's sad that we as American people can see, you know what I mean, what they're up to. We can literally see what they up to, man. You know, it's sad, y'all. It's sad, man. You know, and it's like getting out of hand, man. And I always say, you guys, like, no matter, you know what I mean. That's why I said, whether you cast your vote or you don't cast your vote, the die is always set. I think as American people, we need to look at voting very serious. We got to start looking at voting very serious, because our voting counts. You know what I mean? Our voting for these people is powerful when we cast our vote. But every time you cast your vote, you know, things don't go like they are when you cast your vote. You know. Now, I want to say this. There was a time in the lynching days, you know, in the South. You know, the lynchers, they used to live right next to door, up the street, you know what I mean, down the alley. And, you know, the police gets called out. And when they get called out, they take time to be called out, because they know if it's a black man that been lynched, you know, and when they come, you notice they take all this time to investigate a dead body instead of going after the lynchers. And whenever the lynch is brought to their native land or to the court system in front of a judge in their own native state, the judge looks as he comes in with a smile, as though he didn't kill enough. See, you are to kill all of them. See, why in the South? There used to be a lot of blacks in the South. Right in the country, there used to be a lot of room. You know, and they used to go and, you know what I mean, kill every black that was in the South. You know, this stuck with us. the racial justice, the segregation, police brutality. So if they do this, if Elon decide to pardon that officer and other officers that was involved in the death of George Floyd, just think what's going to happen. So it says, talking about taking DEI stuff out of everything, end goals is to stop companies being required to treat people equally when hiring. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt either, brother. You know, it's, man, this do everybody a favor. Just go and shut it down, because ain't nobody going to agree on this bill, man. And when you got a party that's not agreeing, you got one party that want the party to agree so they can come to that neutral agreement. See, the other parties is not agreeing because they know what's in that bill. They know it's going to affect the American people, man. It's a propaganda they running, man. This is why they were saying that it's an agenda that Trump and Eli want to run, man. All this is an agenda. All this is agenda, man. So, yeah, man. We gotta play within the next day or so. We gotta pay attention to see if the government, if they're gonna shut this thing down. Normally, we see in the last minute. You know what I mean? We know that they will do anything to avoid a government shutdown. So, what do Congress, you know what I mean, do? You know, can we see a government shutdown? You guys comment below. Do you see a government shutdown? I'll be right back. Comment below if you see a government shutdown. All right, man. Man, what y'all see, man? Do y'all see at some point the government be shut down? What y'all see, man? Let me see some. Man. Okay. Bear with me.
Every single Democrat voted for the CR that we just had in December. Like literally every single Democrat except for one who I think maybe took a present vote. The fact of the matter is there's nothing to do with that. The fact of the matter is, for those of us who do not like CRs as a general principle, the fact is because Democrats literally wouldn't pass an appropriations bill out of the Senate, we're left doing the cleanup work of trying to figure out how to move forward while we have an administration that isn't at war with its own people. When the previous administration was blatantly disregarding the well-being of the American people, to have wide open borders, letting fentanyl and letting all manners of evil come into our country, leading to the death and destruction of the people that I represent, people like Jocelyn Nungray, who lost her life to the hands of Tren de Aragua, because Joe Biden decided it was more important to let millions of people into this country in violation of our laws, endangering the people. That's why our bill has additional funding for ICE, to make sure that we've got the beds to undo the damage that the Biden regime has carried out on the American people. Those are the actual facts. The fact of the matter is, no, you don't want to have a CR to continue the funding under Joe Biden, because Joe Biden was at war with the American people. Now we have a president and administration that is trying to do the job that they sent him there to do. Secure the border of the United States, hold back spending, eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, get this economy going again, get the regulations out of the way of the American people, and do the job they want us to do. With that, I yield back.
Gentlelady reserved. The chairs of each respective side are advised that the gentlelady from Minnesota has 13 minutes remaining, and the gentleman from Massachusetts has 20 and a half minutes remaining. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, forget about it. I'm not going to respond. I just want to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished ranking member of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Mr. Meeks.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump's policies are collapsing our economy. Unemployment is rising. The NASDAQ had its worst days since the COVID crash. Millions of dollars in retirement savings have been wiped out in just weeks. And the reason is clear. The Trump administration's reckless tariffs on our allies. To impose these tariffs, Trump declared a made-up national emergency under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. But the law has...
Great content needs a great audience. Like Stretch Armstrong needs to be stretched. Yeah! Woo! Feel the stretch? With two buddies, you get everything you need.
Trump's tariffs. So instead, Speaker Johnson has rewritten the law in real time. And here's what the rule says, and I quote, each day for the remainder of the first session of the 119th Congress shall not constitute a calendar day. What? If you don't think that makes any sense, neither do I. House Republicans are declaring that the days are no longer days and that time has literally stopped. The Speaker is petrified that members of this House will actually have to take a vote on lowering costs on the American people. This is what the American people elected us to do. But now, because it's Donald Trump's tariffs and Republicans would have to take a tough vote, Speaker Johnson is stopping us from voting. If Congress can't act to lower prices, protect retirement savings, and hold the president accountable, what are we even here? What are we doing here? A yes vote on this rule is a vote for Trump's tariffs. A yes vote on this vote, is a vote to keep prices high for American families. A yes vote is a vote to block Congress from doing its job to lower costs. If you actually care about lowering costs, you should vote no on this rule. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. Gentlelady from Wisconsin is recognized. Minnesota.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You were close. But Mr. Speaker, I just want to point out, Democrats love to claim foul when Republicans for shutting off national emergencies, but they're cherry picking the facts. Let's take a look back at when they were in charge in the 117th Congress. They never allowed a vote on terminating the COVID national emergency. Mr. Gosar introduced 2 separate national emergency disapproval resolutions, and Democrats, who were in control at the time, not only shut off consideration of those resolutions without a single vote, they shut them off for the remaining 18 months of the Congress. Even 2 years after the COVID emergency was declared, Democrats still silenced the voices of Republicans who wanted to take a vote. What's that saying again? Rules for thee, but not for me. I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentlelady just conceded that this rule would prevent the House from voting on Trump's tariffs, thereby resulting in the biggest tax increase on middle-class families that we've ever seen. I now yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New Mexico, Ms. Stansbury.
The gentlelady from New Mexico is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes when I'm standing in this chamber, I literally cannot believe my ears. And I have to say that today is one of those days, because as we stand here on the floor today, I am hearing members of the other side of the aisle who said they would never vote for a continuing resolution, that they would never vote to raise the debt, that they would never vote for a bill that extends the debt ceiling, say that we have to pass this bill. And so I literally cannot believe my ears today, because the GOP today is here with a great American bait and switch. So let me explain to you what exactly is going on. Donald Trump spent the weekend calling our colleagues across the aisle, asking them to keep the government open until the end of the fiscal year so that they can get on with their real agenda. And you all know what the real agenda is. The real agenda is that they're dismantling the federal government. They're firing tens of thousands of federal workers, teachers, firefighters, veterans, military, members of our community who are in crisis right now, and they are illegally impounding funds. And meanwhile...
You see that? Trump wanted to dismantle everything. He want to control everything. I'm telling you, they want to run an agenda, man. All this is running their agenda, man. Gaining a population control. So that's pretty much, man, that we have, man. We got to see if they pass this bill or not, man, and how things are going to be, man, where the government will be shut down, man. You know what I mean? People are in disagreement in this bill, man. So, being that they are in disagreement with this bill, man, at this state of time, man, we don't know what this government will be shut down, man. That's the thing, man. That's the thing that's going to bring a lot of us to suffer, man. How are we going to go about feeding our families? You know what I mean? You know, you got a lot of people, including myself, man, unemployed, you know what I mean? Unemployment things. I mean, man, what do this do for the rest of us, man? You know? Man, this is where we at, man. Like, you know, it's where we at.
My Republican colleagues who said they would never vote for anything like this are saying that they are going to vote for it because on the side, Donald Trump is winking at them and his people are telling them, don't worry, if you pass this bill, we're going to continue to do all of that illegal activity. And then we can get on to the real work, which is dismantling our basic programs that support our communities. They want to take away your Medicaid. This weekend, Elon Musk said he wants to take away your Social Security. They want to dismantle housing programs. They want to dismantle food assistance programs. They are literally bait and switching the American people and abdicating their fundamental responsibility as representatives of the people, because the people have spoken, my friends, and there are no number of town halls that you can run.
They ain't gonna be able to run away from the problem that they created, man. And how dare Trump say he can make America great again? He's not even on that agenda. He's not on that agenda making America great again, man. So this is pretty much we have right now. They seeing where the bill get passed or not, man. Man, this time, man. I mean, will we see a government shutdown? That's the thing. That's the thing everybody's paying attention to. Will the government be shut down? So yeah, pretty much, man. That's pretty much it we have, man. I definitely gonna be back, you know what I mean, with another video, you know what I mean. But yeah, man, pretty much what we have, you know. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button, man. Share this video too. Let's get this video out. Help the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, man. Till then, I'm out.